I mean, we can play the highlights reel all day. Marcus
Yeah.
Bontempelli, good morning.
Welcome.
Good to be here. Thanks, guys.
I mean, I don't want to put a shiver through Bulldogs fans, but he did limp into the studio this morning
Yeah.
with a crutch.
Single crutch.
I see single crutch. What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm down to the one now. I just had a little clean out on my ankle only a couple of days ago, so hence I'm still tiny bit proppy post-op, but
Right.
nothing to be concerned about, Bulldogs fans. I know that it might seem a little bit that way, but I should be back walking and stuff by the end of the week.
Should be. That's a line you don't want to hear from one of your superstars. I should be back walking soon.
Hopefully.
But when does pre-season kick off?
Younger boys are back, I reckon, in about a week or so. They normally get the first of 4 years back in a bit sooner, just with the training wheels to make sure they're all ready to go. And the
Yes.
older boys, I guess the seniors, get back about the 27th of November. So we've got a couple of weeks of break, I guess, still left to go.
Which of your teammates do you get nervous about when you first see them after the off-season? Do you go, oh, old mate's going to have stacked a bit on here, or I bet he hasn't done much work?
They're pretty good nowadays. You can't get away with probably as much as you used to with all the testing they do. So you're held to a bit of account. One, I'm always interested to see how he's gone. Is Jack McRae, one of my good mates and teammates, just to make sure he hasn't been gaming too much. There's a few of those boys getting around who just spend too much time on the video games.
Fortnite.
Fortnite.
Fortnite the one?
Yeah, I think so. I think that seems. I never, got sucked in, but there's a bunch of them that still, I think, go at it pretty hard.
Right. We'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
And so what did you do in the off-season? Do you go, the footy trip of old is a dead thing these days, it seems.
A bit harder to do nowadays. I had a few weeks of really R&R, like you rest and recover, where you let your body just, replenish after a big season, and then spend a couple of weeks over in Canada with my girlfriend. Her family's from there, and did a few weeks over there. So even that, now that you're you don't do not single anymore. You don't do those sort of big boys trips anymore. You're on different things, that's for sure.
And how do you go in Canada? So obviously no one knows who you are in Canada, or do they? Did you get stopped in the street by Aussies on holidays?
No, not too often, which is sort of why I definitely love visiting there. It's great to visit her family, but there's I guess an anonymity you get with getting out of Melbourne and even Australia in general is you can sort of do as you please a little bit and not feel like you're too concerned about where you are and who's watching. So it's a great feeling to be able to just get on a plane and get out of here for a couple of weeks.
Do you ever sit down with her family just to bring them up to speed? Call YouTube up, get a few highlights packages rolling?
Every now and again you do have to explain the rules, and somehow it always ends up being me in the videos. So you do take some liberties at different points to say this is actually a sport. People actually care about it over there.
Yeah, right. Hey, did you go and see an ice hockey game while you were there?
Yeah. So I'd been last year, and that's when I met everyone sort of for the first time. But ice hockey is basically the equivalent of Aussie rules here, so it's madly supported, and you got to pick a team, that's for sure.
And a lot of similarities, bizarrely, in the games, I reckon. For starters, there's no offside rule, right? So it's mayhem everywhere. And they have rotations about every 90 seconds, which you only realise when you go and see a game live.
Yeah, exactly. You don't probably I was a bit like that too. You didn't realise how on and off the sport is. And I think there was even there was talk, one of the players, I think it might have been Swanee, did an interview about back in maybe the 2010s when Collingwood was really up and going, they were sort of implementing the same interchange sort of structure, like it was very on-off, so on for a few minutes, off, and that's when I think the interchange cap all changed, because I think Collingwood had upwards of 100-odd interchange rotations and were just spinning the wheels a bit. So it's very much like that. It's about, a minute, just over a minute on, and then you're off for a couple. So it's a power-based sport, that's for sure.
And in amongst all this, you've found time to write yourself a kids' book. What is your inspiration for deciding to write a kids' book?
Oh, well, the inspiration, I think, really came from, being offered the opportunity to do it. A firm press, just asked the question of whether it was something I'd ever be interested in. And it took me a bit of time to really work out if it was to be something I wanted to do, what would I talk about for starters, and what would be the book, and obviously the age demographic. And obviously being a footballer and once being a kid myself, you just idolise footballers, across the board. So it felt like, a kid's book would be a perfect way to connect with the younger generation and really share a bit of my upbringing, to be totally honest. And that's why it was so easy to really co-author with Fiona, who's obviously, she wrote the first one and now the second one too.
Fiona Harris, wonderful writer and performer, and hilarious as well, Fiona Harris. And this one, the Nonna gets a mention. And the spaghetti bolognese.
Exactly.
Nonna happy with that?
Exactly. Yeah, no, I think she was wrapped. It took a little bit to maybe help her understand what was actually going on. I said, no, this book's about you. She's like, what do you mean? Like, she couldn't quite grasp the concept of the fact I'd, basically written a children's book all about her. But the beauty was I didn't get the opportunity to, I guess, read or present the first one to my nana because she'd passed away a few years earlier. So it was a really nice difference to be able to go through that process of sit down with Nonna and, talk to her about the little differences in there and every little bit of aspect of the story, the cellar, the spooky cellar and the veggie garden. They're all things that I did as a kid and places I dared sort of go at Nonna's place, which is always that tiny, especially with the cellar, was always that bit scarier. So some great truisms, I guess, that come out in it.
Yeah, that's nice. And dare I say it, the perfect gift for Christmas.
Absolutely.
This is
Time was, it was thought out, yes.
That's a plan.
It was planned, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it is true, isn't it? Yeah. Perfect gift for any kid who might be into footy, but you don't even have to be into footy. There's great messages right through the book here. Little Bont's brave place step aside, Specky McGee.
Yeah.
Little Bont's on the shelves now. Little Bont's brave play available in all good bookstores and some bad ones as well.
Sure, there's a couple.
But get onto it for the kids this Christmas. Marcus Bontempelli, thank you very much, mate.
Pleasure, no, thanks for having me.